And welcome to the Draft Indy podcast. We are here recapping day one of the 2016 NFL Draft. And with me is Alex, Brian, Garrett, and our favorite Canadian, Jeremy Stevenson. Jay should be here in just a few minutes. So we're just going to kind of get started here. Let's talk about the Colts pick in just a second. What was the most surprising thing on day one of the draft, guys? What do you think? Tunsil falling to 12, Miles Jack falling completely out of the first round, or Eli Apple going to the Giants? What do you think?
Jack.
I heard a little bit about Jack's knee right before the draft, so whenever something like that comes up this late, it would concern me. So if you had told me all of those three things would happen, I would have been most surprised about Eli Apple, I think, because I thought that if anyone was going to go super high, it would have been Will Jackson from Houston. I thought he was the most hyped guy.
Mm-hmm.
I was personally stunned that the Chargers took Bosa at 3, who we don't love, but that just is such a weird scheme fit.
That's weird because we all had Buckner, either Tunsil or Stanley.
Yeah, everybody had Buckner, Tunsil, or Ramsey, and then everybody switched to Stanley at the same time. And
so he was like their fifth target, what we all thought.
Out of left field.
So the mocks back in August were probably more accurate in the end.
Like they usually are.
Yeah, and you know, for me, I mean, honestly, Jack falling out of the first round, like the knee issue is a legit issue. I forget who was. Who said was it you, Alex, who before we started talking about how the cartilage is separated from the knee?
Yeah, I'm no doctor, but from what I can tell, really bad.
Yeah,
well,
you're obviously not a doctor.
They have doctors, and if he's fallen this far, it means it is pretty bad.
Yeah.
They say that that's less than ideal.
I
don't know what cartilage falling off of the knee means, but it doesn't sound good.
It doesn't. No, not a good look. Not good for the brand.
No. But I mean, the little bit I know about that means that you need to have microfracture surgery, and that's the kind of stuff that you never recover from, really.
Yeah. So let's Brent is going to join us too. So he'll be here in just a second. So let's start talking about the Colts pick here. And then I want to talk about the divisional picks, and then, like I said, I was going to try and keep these short. So let's talk about Ryan Kelly. We've talked about him on here before. What do you want? I guess we've said a lot about Ryan Kelly. He's probably the best interior offensive line prospect that's come along in the past 4 or 5 drafts, honestly. He's rock solid in pretty much every phase of the game, and we're going to have him able to be locked down for at least 5 years. We all had talked about multiple times how interior O-line was the major problem on the offensive line and not necessarily tackle, and then Pagano started to confirm that, and here we are. We've got Ryan Kelly, and I don't think I couldn't complain one bit, guys. Does anyone here think it was a bad pick?
No, sir.
The silence is deafening.
Yeah, I'm not good.
Shaq and Spence and Miles Jack all being there that was completely unexpected. But
I kind of expected one of them to be there. It was this very similar situation to last year where I looked at the guys that I liked, and I figured that one of them was going to fall. It ended up being Preston, was the guy I really wanted there. Same position to edge compared to guys like Lawson this year, and Spence as well. And they passed on him, so I was disappointed in the same sense, but last year the Dorsett pick was much more egregious to me than this could ever be. I think this is a very solid pick, so I'm not mad.
The reports were coming on strong within the last week saying that the Colts were heavily targeting him. I originally
Shout out Colin. I'm sorry I talked to you and all my followers, my 10 real followers, I was trying to tell that don't trust the reports. my brain is dead, and I'm very sorry. Stop following me.
I even had, when we did our roundtable mock, I had white hair, and then today when I published my real mock, you had the feeling it was Ryan Kelly. Matt Miller said, of course, he kind of screwed up with the whole Tunsil, or with the whole staff.
He's hit or miss.
But he said, if you want to get Ryan Kelly, you gotta pick him before the Colts get him. So I kind of knew what was happening. I think we all kind of knew what was happening.
Yeah, and again, it's contrary to someone else on Colts Twitter, this pick does make the team better. It really does.
I wasn't on Twitter, so I don't.
It's okay.
Just a guess.
I just have trouble comprehending. I don't care what position it is. If you add somebody that's a possible Pro Bowler, possible All-Pro eventually, like, how does that not make your team better?
It was clear that Ryan Kelly probably of most positions was the best player at his position compared to all other positions across the board.
Right, this pick at its simplest form is just taking an excellent player at a glaring need, and if you're complaining about that, then I don't really get what you can be mad about.
A fantastic athlete too. Like, he's a great prospect in every possible sense of the. It's just his position isn't really a glamorous one.
Yeah, and I understand the value part of it. I do think that edge player would have been better, and I was talking about that all day yesterday. But you can't say that it's a bad pick or it didn't make them better. It may not have made them possibly as good as another pick might have, and it might be underwhelming or boring, but there's no bad pick to this. That's ridiculous.
We lost some games because of interior pressure, though.
We really
did.
We lost
that Jets game. Khaled Holmes was getting wrecked in that Jets game. Just having a center there, you can probably get one more win. Maybe they win a division, get to the playoffs.
Just over the last few years, I mean, Samson Satili, we had a Harrison, and so it's been a really bad position for us for a long time. So we finally, I think, we can finally put that to rest.
No, it's been evident the mental downfall that Luck has had just because of interior pressure, and I know I've harped on this a lot. Is seeing pressure even when it's not there. So
it's really bad for quarterbacks. Yeah. Like, that's the worst possible thing you can do to a quarterback.
Don't want him seeing ghosts.
Mess up the interior. Yeah.
Jeremy, can we get your perspective here, buddy?
I was just waiting for you guys to get it all out.
I'm sorry.
It's safe. It's not sexy. That's exactly how I can describe it.
I think safe is sexy.
Well, it is for this team based on, I said if Dorsett was trying to be, sexy or cute, then this is the opposite of that. And at this point, I'll take that because I hated the Dorsett pick.
That's a good take. I like that.
And this, it's the perfect fit. Last time I was on, my number one thing was I really wanted a guy that was going to contribute day one. Someone that wasn't going to be sitting on the bench. And if you look at their roster, they don't have a center on the roster. They have two guys that they weren't going to be starting regardless. So, this guy's going to walk in. He's going to be your day one starter. Ideally, he's going to be your starter maybe until Luck retires. Who knows? And it's done. You don't have to address the position ever again.
I think that's a big part of it, though, is the day one availability, and that's kind of what I put in the piece that I put out this morning is, who's contributing right away. And Jack, I'm sure they took a good, long, hard look at Jack, but what's going on with him? And then I didn't know this with Shaq, but Lawson has to have shoulder surgery, and they said the Bills are hoping that he can go through his entire rookie season and then get it done after, but it's 6 months of rehab. So I think that's a big part. They said is we're at this point where we need someone right now. So,
hey Brent, how you doing tonight? Here.
Oh, yeah, and edge rush would have been awesome. I think Spence and Shaq, I have them higher on my board. I think they're better players and more important positions. But Shaq fell, and there's the injury concern, and Spence is still on the board. There's a reason that he's still there, so the concern there is legitimate.
And I don't think for him, I think the concern for him is legitimately off field. We talked about it before. You don't get banned from the Big Ten and still have a kind of a good reputation out there. That's just kind of how it goes. Here we are. So, safe pick, good pick. Brent, you just got here. What do you think about the pick? Tell us.
Yeah. So overall, I've been around. I've been on the Ryan Kelly train long enough to be excited about it for sure. I think we had an ample conversation about why this center made sense over some of the others. Yes, it was a deep center class, yada, yada, yada. There was value there, but if they can be set at center for the next 4 to 10 years, why should any of us be upset about that pick? There was value there, but let's just roll with it and be super excited about it.
Yeah, Brent, what I was telling the guys before he came on is besides probably Zeke at running back and Ramsey anywhere in the secondary, you can make a case that Kelly was the best player at his respective position. And I was thinking about that, all right, we got guys like Jack Allen, Nick Martin, Kyle Friend, Isaac Sumalo, like Max Turk, all these guys. But
Yeah.
man, like Kelly just is the best guy, and like
Yeah.
the best guy at the best position in a position of need for the team. Like you can't disprove that.
I don't want to go too old school on anybody, but 2008 they drafted 3 centers. None of them worked, but you can always go grab one of these other guys, maybe with positional flexibility, like Isaac Semolatu out of
Samalu.
Thank you. You grab that guy. Thank you. You grab that guy, and maybe you get one super solid center. And if there's another good guard out of both of them, why would you be upset about that? So yeah, I'm super stoked.
I can't remember being this excited about this O-line before. I mean,
right,
I think
like
we got 4 good players now.
Like we're this close to actually like. Don't tell anybody, but he might have a really good offensive line for like a year.
Yeah, I'm kind of afraid to say it too because it sounds so far-fetched.
It sounds far-fetched, but I've been on the train for a while. Like, you upgrade center, both of the guards look better,
right.
And I think draft Twitter, Indy Colts Twitter has understood that we have decent tackles, options at least. So upgrading center makes everybody look better.
Like if good is actually indeed good, and then you could move Reeks inside, like, there's not really a hole, and that's pretty amazing.
But
that's a top 10 offensive line. That's a top 10 offensive line.
Take another O-line, and I still think they take another O-line.
I think they do. I think they will.
I think they take a tackle. Because, I mean, I get Pagano and Irsay, like, they love Denzel Good at right tackle, but, like, he's a 7th rounder from D2 who's played 1 year. So I still think they want. I get a lot of people like him, but not too hot on him starting at right tackle right away because I think they still want a little more depth. And if Wrights is just a better tackle, then you have to put him there too, maybe.
I'm not seeing it on day 2, but I'm seeing a day 3 O-line pick easily. They've done 7th round, Ulrich John and Denzel Good. So I mean, if they took someone in the 5th or the 4th round, that's cool with me too. Like we were saying, like Isaac Sumalo, good, who could play guard or center. That'd be good. Denver Kirkland is one of my favorites. I think he'd be a beast guard. Yeah. And you could probably get him in the 5th round, maybe even the 7th round, because his left tackle tape was not pretty, but his guard tape was actually pretty good. So you're right. We're close. We're close to having an offensive line that actually makes kind of sense.
Don't count on.
Yeah, exactly. So
let's keep that between us.
So let's do a quick round table. Who is your favorite player left on the board, Alex?
Chris Jones, easy. Would love him in the first, please in the second. And this defensive line run kind of started the back half, or towards the end of round 1. We got guys like Nkadiche, Vernon Butler come off the board, which makes me think that Jones isn't getting there, but maybe he'll be valued lower than some of these other guys because he is such a perfect scheme fit for this team. He's my ideal 2nd round pick at this point.
Brent.
Tough to say. There's so many options. I mean, guys that we saw drafted in the teens are still sitting there. Just shows you how little we know about the draft. So all time, I mean, it's hard not to say Miles Jack because if that knee is not an issue, that dude is a stud. So I'll go safe with the unsafe pick of Miles Jack.
Brian.
I mean, my number 8 overall player, Andrew Billings, is still on the board. So I mean, I'm just kind of looking right now. The Colts, the Colts have the 17th pick in the 2nd round, and there's 16. So there's going to be 16 picks, and there's still Billings, Chris Jones, Spence, Calhoun,
Miles
Jenkins, Jack, like
Darian Thompson.
I think Darian Thompson's I think he's gonna keep falling. I would like to see him day 3.
Mackenzie Alexander.
Yeah.
Garrett.
God, like we might have a good draft.
Garrett.
Oh yeah, I was actually gonna say Mac Alexander, especially for this game. He would be great in this game. I know they've already kind of got their cornerbacks right now, but he's, in my opinion, one of the best players available. I'd probably say Jones, but we already talked about him.
Jay.
I'm gonna go Noah Spence because I think he's a top 10 talent, and I mean off-field stuff aside, because I can't judge that. He seems like he's a cool guy.
All right,
I just some ecstasy.
I'll echo that and say Noah Spence too. Everyone else kind of took my other options, but I mean Noah Spence I had as a top 10 guy, and that was including considering some off-field stuff. He'd probably be like a top 5 or 6 guy if he was clean. I wanted him at 18. If I can get him in the second round, that's nuts. You might be getting the best edge rusher outside of Bosa in the entire draft class.
This is kind of shades of Cowboys last year when they had Gregory at the end of round 1, and people were like, "Oh, are they going to take him there?" And they said no. And it's like, "Oh, the Cowboys are just passing on Gregory completely," and then he falls to him in the second round. So, I mean, cross your fingers. That could be the option here.
Now, here's my next question for y'all. Would anyone trade up for that guy you just mentioned?
Nah.
Nah.
Long
Team
con.
trade down. Team trade down.
Enough good players that you don't want to waste the few draft picks you do have.
Between all these guys that we mentioned, they could either all be gone in the next 10 picks, or one of them or more of them could be there. So, like, in the first round, I had a good idea of who was going to be there, especially because of who was getting late round, hype late, especially like Leonard Floyd, because he was going to go top 15. I knew that Shaq or Spence would be there, and they both were. Now I've got really no clue.
Okay.
And there's still good guys that we haven't talked about that weren't mocked, earlier than what we've seen. So we've talked a lot about how the value is in the second and third round draft. I think that's the spot to be in. So if anything, team trade down.
And even more so now with 5 or 6 guys that we all considered first rounders all of a sudden sitting there.
Yeah, if there was like one guy, like it was only Spence or only Chris Jones, that's kind of thing you kind of consider that. But when you've got this many guys that are going to be sitting there, I'm going to write that day 2 primer tomorrow, and there's a lot of talented players that are going to be around 18 probably. So you got to not trade down.
I'm kind of team like sit still, because like we can still get there's just too many guys that fell. Like we could trade down and get another pick, but like I don't know, like if Spence, I really still want Calhoun or Jordan Jenkins at this spot. So
Jenkins.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, Calhoun would be a good pick. I like him.
All right, guys. Next topic. Mike Mularkey traded up for Jack Conklin. Yeah, Titans staying bad. Thank you for staying bad, Titans. Hank Jones said it best.
I really wish I was on Twitter just to see how he did tonight.
Well, Hank Jones had a very good night on Twitter tonight, I must say. But anyways, I mean, seriously, guys, like we were Conklin. I mean, January and February is Conklin, and then all of a sudden, Mel Kiper's got a number 3 on his board. Tennessee Titans trade out of the first pick, trade back up to 8, and take Jack Conklin. So Moneyball is working real well. Jonah Hill, is sitting in Cleveland somewhere, just like, I got all these picks.
Yeah, Jonah Hill had a good draft. Corey Coleman, middle of the first. He might have a career in this.
Yeah.
He and Kevin Costner are rocking this draft.
And it's is it John Robinson or Josh Robinson who's the new Titans GM?
John Robinson.
Okay,
John.
So he tried to Belichick himself.
John, Jason.
Whatever. Mike Mularkey.
John Robinson is the sucker Jaguars GM from draft day who trades his second round picks or trades the 5th round pick for a bunch of seconds.
Well, Jeremy, when you came on the first time, we were talking about what we don't want the Titans doing. We didn't want them taking Ramsey because I'm still upset we have to play Ramsey twice a year. Like Jags are going to be good, but I'm still upset we have to do that. But like we were like, oh, they should take Tunsil because Colts don't have a pass rush anyway, so they might as well take the best tackle. And they took a terrible tackle. So not only did they take the worst position available, they took one of the worst players to take there.
Through the first like 10 minutes of the draft, like you're like, okay, so the Titans traded down a bunch. Someone mute Garrett. What is going on here?
Trying.
So the Titans traded down a bunch, picked up like a future first round pick and a bunch of extra picks. Then the Jaguars get Jalen Ramsey, and you're just thinking that this is so terrible. Like the AFC South is catching up, and then the Titans trade up for Conklin, a second and a third, and then the Texans trade up one pick to pick Fuller. And the Redskins are like, we didn't want Fuller anyway. Yeah.
Probably.
It's so good.
I mean, it's golden, and I'm not a big Will Fuller fan. I watched maybe 5 minutes of Will Fuller, and I was just like, I don't want him.
It's funny because he's not good, he's not a good pick at that range, but he's gonna hurt us really badly in one of these games. He's gonna have 2 touchdowns, 3 catches for like 180 yards, and we're gonna.
But you know who's
togethers.
Greg Toller's not on the team.
Greg Toller's gone.
But you know who's not going to hurt us? Jack Conklin.
Jack Conklin. No, in fact, actually, Jack Conklin is good because we got the geriatric ward of pass rushers trying to go after him. So, it might turn out to be, a good thing for us. But yeah, again, let's talk about the Jaguars pick for a second because I am very upset that Jalen Ramsey is in our division.
It was the worst case scenario.
But
it was, and I mean, honestly, I'm still not worried about them coming out of 3rd place in the division. But they might be second. They could be second place. They could be second. Yeah, I guess that's true. But they're still a little bit away, I think. But now, I mean, they added Amukamura. Who was the other corner they added?
Well, they added Devon House from last year.
No, and they added someone else again this year, too.
Didn't they get Gibson, the safety?
Yeah, they got Deshaun Gibson.
There you go.
Yeah, that's who I was talking about in the secondary.
That's a solid secondary.
Secondary is solid, but they're still, I mean, we don't know what Fowler can do, but, still, and then their defensive tackles, Sinderic Marks is good, but he's getting up there, kind of old, right?
Odrick.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Odrick and Malik Jackson. No,
Malik Jackson.
And then I think they said they're going to rotate Sinderic Marks.
Alu.
Yeah.
There's depth. There's depth, but there's issues. So.
But they still have Paul Postlesny at middle linebacker, so they're adding pieces. They could be second in the division, and yes, they did beat us 54-17. But again, Matt Hasselbeck was on life support, so he's going.
Telvin Smith's legit.
Yeah, but other than Jalen Ramsey's like their legit. Maybe Deshaun Gibson, their only legit playmaker on defense.
I think it was the Sports Illustrated or MMQB piece today. Peter King was talking to somebody, and they did legitimately raise the question: why do you take a cornerback and stick him back at safety if they can't cover guys? So I think there's questions about Ramsey for sure, but everything I saw on tape, it's tough to question.
Well, according to ESPN, oh my God, they wrecked him they destroyed him. I was like, probably the best player in the draft, in my opinion, one of the best 3 players in the draft. He goes through a great scheme and a great fit, and then Louis Riddick just absolutely was throwing haymakers at him.
Yeah, my only question on Ramsey is how many picks he's going to get off of luck. I really hope it's not a lot, but who knows?
I think they're probably going to put him on TY, right? I mean, I don't know if that's too early to tell, but
I don't know.
I have no clue.
I'd stick him on Moncrief.
Yeah.
Size on size.
I'd stick him wherever, man. He's gonna be good. Whatever.
He's a nightmare.
Jags they're trending in the right direction. Hopefully the division gets good. I'm happy for the Jags, man. Mm-hmm. They deserve a little happiness.
Hank is one of my favorite Twitter accounts, so he can be happy, I guess.
Low-key, you like the Jags.
If they're able to pick up Miles Jack in the second round, then I would start to
yes.
Because now you pick up potentially 2 of the best 3 prospects in the draft.
Wow.
That's a scary proposition.
I mean, even if he only lasts 3 years, that's still three years of nightmare for us.
I mean, that 3-year window for them is their most extreme window right now because Bortles, Allen Robinson, all those guys still on their rookie contract. That's for how we had the luck window to close.
Yeah,
they've got a window just the same before they got to start paying a bunch of people. But there's difference for them is that they have a lot of cap space still.
By the way, how ideal is it for the Broncos to have a guy on a late first round rookie contract for 4 years when they already got all those contracts to deal with? That's pretty perfect.
Yep.
Elway.
I love that pick.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, so
They're not paying Osweiler.
and the Texans are, so another
Fourth
so
best QB in the
Oh, the
division.
Texans. Have we talked about William Fuller yet?
we kind of did.
Okay, sorry.
So, no, it's okay.
This reminds me of the 2012 draft when Cleveland originally had the number 4 pick, and the Vikings. It was the year AP was coming off his knee injury, and the Vikings said, like, we're sticking with AP. We're not drafting Trent Richardson, and the Browns still gave up 2 picks to move up 1 spot to get Trent Richardson.
Smoke screen.
It's so weird. Like, I don't know, unless they really liked Will Fuller so much that they thought the Redskins would take him. I don't even think Redskins were looking at wide receiver anyway. And I think Josh Doxson's a good fit there. But, like, really, like, I don't get the point of trading up 1 pick.
Well, we talked trash about the Seahawks or the Colts for the Dorsett pick. They were trading up for Dorsett, and they were trading up like 15 picks for Dorsett. Yeah. So that was going to cost them a couple picks.
Unless there's another team offering like a reasonably similar package.
Yeah, that's what I was.
That's
guessing.
the only thing I can buy. Yeah.
But it was like, isn't it like next year's 6th or something like that? Like it's a relevant pick. So
right.
There wasn't a lot of bartering going on there, I don't think.
Yeah. So there's Town in the second round. Colts got an A+ player in my opinion. He's a guy, again, we're not going to have to worry about the future of center. So, here we are, going to go into day 2 tomorrow. We got 2 picks. All we can really hope is that Gregson doesn't mess it up. And so far he's doing good. So
he always nails round 3. So I think
I'm
pretty confident there.
And
sure.
I mean his round 2
come in round 3.
His round 2 picks haven't been that bad either. So,
hey guys, I got to jump off.
We're about to. I was about to close this out. So, I am writing a Ryan Kelly article tonight. It will have GIFs and all those fun things. Jay will have a day 2 primer out sometime tomorrow, and we will be back tomorrow night again to recap day 2. We will see you guys then. Thanks for listening, and thanks for getting us to 1,000 followers. Jeremy, you had a lot to deal with that, so thank you for that.
Oh shit, we did that?
We got 1,000 followers. We will be giving away 2 T-shirts tomorrow. I'm pretty sure they're size large and size medium. So if you're fat like me, you're out of luck. So we will
medium.
Yeah, we will. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for joining us tonight, and have a good night. Sleep well.